They thought they had won. The Krell Dominion, spanning 3,000 star systems, commanding fleets that could shatter planets, wielding technology that bent the very fabric of space itself. They came to Earth not as conquerors, but as exterminators. We weren't worthy of slavery. We weren't advanced enough to be a threat. We were simply, in the way. The invasion lasted 6 hours. The war lasted 3 days. Humanity's extinction was declared on the 4th. But they made one critical mistake. One miscalculation that would unravel their empire from within. They underestimated what it means to be human. This is the story of how we died, and how we refused to stay dead. Act 1, The Fall, 1 to 4:30. The Arrival. It was a Tuesday morning when the skies opened. Not with portals or wormholes, nothing so dramatic. The Krell ship simply appeared, materializing in low orbit as if they'd always been there. Thousands of them. Pyramidal vessels the size of mountains, their surfaces absorbing light itself, turning day into twilight across half the planet. The world's militaries mobilized within minutes. Fighter jets scrambled. Nuclear protocols were initiated. The United Nations Emergency Council convened in a bunker beneath Geneva. None of it mattered. The Krell didn't issue warnings. They didn't demand surrender. They simply began what they called planetary sterilization. The cleansing. The first wave came at 9:47 Greenwich Mean Time. Beams of concentrated energy, what our scientists would later identify as weaponized antimatter streams, struck every major population center simultaneously. New York. Shanghai. London. Mumbai. Sao Paulo. In seconds, they were gone. Not destroyed, erased. Buildings, streets, people, converted to energy and scattered atoms. Our weapons were useless. Missiles detonated against invisible shields. Nuclear warheads exploded harmlessly kilometers from their targets. The Krell moved through our atmosphere like gods, untouchable and unstoppable. By the end of the 1 billion people were dead. By the end of the 2nd, the oceans were boiling. The last stand. On the 3rd day, in a desperate final gambit, the remnants of Earth's military forces launched Operation Hades, a coordinated strike using every remaining nuclear weapon on the planet. 4,000 warheads, detonated simultaneously in low orbit. For a moment, just a moment, it looked like it might work. The electromagnetic pulse disrupted the Krell shields. 3 of their ships fell from the sky, crashing into the already devastated landscape. The Krell response was immediate and absolute. They activated what survivors would later call the burning. An orbital bombardment so intense it created a temporary second sun above Earth's surface. The atmosphere itself caught fire. Continents cracked. The planet's rotation stuttered. By the 4th day, Earth was a smoking cinder, its surface temperature hovering at 400 degrees Celsius. No vegetation. No water. No breathable air. The Krell fleet departed, adding another world to their list of successful cleansings. Humanity was extinct. Or so they believed. Act 2, The Remnants, 4:30 to 8 o'clock. Deep Earth Protocol. What the Krell didn't know, what they couldn't have known, was that humans are paranoid by nature. During the Cold War, both superpowers had built deep underground complexes designed to survive nuclear Armageddon. After first contact with the Krell probe in 2047, 13 nations had quietly expanded these bunkers into something far more ambitious, the Deep Earth Protocol. Self-sustaining habitats, buried 5 to 10 kilometers beneath the surface. Geothermal power. Hydroponic farms. Genetic archives. Medical facilities. And most importantly, cryogenic storage for 10 million people, selected through lottery from every nation on Earth. When the Krell arrived, the protocol was activated. 9.2 million people made it into the bunkers before the doors sealed. They watched through seismic sensors as their world died above them. And they waited. The long dark. 50 years passed in the deep. Generations were born who never saw the sky. Engineers maintained the aging systems. Farmers grew food under artificial lights. Children learned about grass and rain and stars from holographic archives. But most importantly, they planned. Because scattered among those 9 million survivors were some of humanity's brightest minds. Scientists. Engineers. Military strategists. And they all shared one obsession: revenge. They couldn't beat the Krell with conventional weapons, that much was clear. But humanity had always excelled at one thing: adaptation. Learning from our enemies. Taking their technology and making it our own. The 3 crashed Krell ships had been buried under tons of debris, but their hulls were intact. And in the deep bunkers, teams of engineers began the slow, painstaking process of reverse engineering technology millennia beyond their own. The breakthrough. It took 32 years. Dr. Elena Vasquez, a quantum physicist who'd been 23 when the world ended, made the critical discovery. The Krell shields didn't block matter, they phased it out of sync with normal spacetime. And their antimatter weapons weren't just weapons, they were powered by zero-point energy extraction from quantum vacuum. With that understanding, everything changed. The survivors couldn't build Krell ships, not yet. But they could build something the Krell would never expect. They could build weapons that exploited the same principles, using technologies the Krell had long since abandoned as primitive. Kinetic kill vehicles accelerated to relativistic speeds using quantum tunneling drives. Fusion warheads wrapped in quantum destabilization fields. And most ingenious of all, the infiltrators. Act 3, The Rising, 8-11:30. Operation Lazarus. The Krell Dominion had forgotten about Earth. Why wouldn't they? It was a dead world, catalogued and archived, its indigenous species extinct. They didn't monitor it. They didn't patrol it. It was ancient history. That was their second mistake. On the 50th anniversary of Earth's fall, the bunker doors opened. Not all of them, the surface was still toxic, the atmosphere still poison. But in 8 locations around the globe, massive underground factories had been carved into the bedrock. And from these factories emerged humanity's reply to extinction. The Ghost Fleet. 400 ships, each one built from scavenged materials, powered by reverse-engineered Krell technology and human ingenuity. They weren't pretty. They weren't elegant. They were cobbled together monsters of mismatched alloys and jury-rigged systems. But they could fly. And they could fight. The infiltrators. But the Ghost Fleet was just the hammer. The real weapon was far more insidious. The infiltrators were humanity's masterpiece. Microscopic machines, part nanotech and part quantum computer, designed to do one thing: spread and learn. 3 ships, unmanned, automated, expendable, launched from Earth's surface. They used captured Krell navigation data to plot courses to the nearest Dominion worlds. Then they self-destructed in those systems, releasing trillions upon trillions of infiltrators into the void. The infiltrators drifted. They attached to passing ships. They infected Krell networks. And they began to replicate, spreading through the Dominion like a digital plague. But they didn't attack. Not yet. They just watched. Learned. Sent data back to Earth through quantum-entangled communications that couldn't be intercepted or blocked. For 5 years, humanity studied its enemy. We learned their language. Their culture. Their technology. Their military deployments. The locations of their shipyards, their command centers, their core worlds. And then we learned something that changed everything. The truth. The Krell Dominion wasn't an empire of conquerors. It was an empire of cowards. They had been running for 10,000 years. fleeing from something they called the Devourers, an extra-dimensional intelligence that consumed entire galaxies. The Krell's solution was simple: stay ahead of the wave. Expand constantly. Exterminate any species that might slow them down or consume resources they needed. Earth had been cleared because the Krell needed its star system as a staging point for their next migration. They were bullies. Genocidal, certainly. Advanced, undoubtedly. But not invincible. They were terrified prey, lashing out at anything in their path. And that gave humanity something precious: motivation. Act 4, The Reckoning, 1130 to 1430. The first strike. The attack came without warning. A Krell supply convoy en route to a forward outpost simply vanished. All 37 ships, gone in a matter of minutes. No distress signals. No debris. The Dominion investigated. They found nothing but empty space. Then it happened again. A patrol fleet near the Proxima colony. Then a mining operation in the Kepler sector. Ships disappeared. Stations went dark. Each time, the Krell sent investigators. Each time, they found nothing. Because humanity had learned from the masters of sterilization. The Ghost Fleet didn't fight fair. They ambushed. They hit and ran. They used the Krell's own phasing technology to slip into subspace, strike, and vanish before reinforcements could arrive. And they left no survivors to report what they'd seen. The war. For 3 years, the Krell Dominion bled. They couldn't fight what they couldn't find. Every time they concentrated forces in one sector, humans would attack somewhere else. Their supply lines fractured. Their colonies were evacuated. Panic spread through their empire. But humanity wasn't trying to conquer. We were doing something far more devastating. We were teaching them fear. Every Krell commander who'd participated in Earth's sterilization was hunted down and eliminated. Their ships destroyed. Their names added to what survivors called the Ledger, a list of war criminals that would take centuries to complete. And as the war dragged on, something unexpected happened. Other species, races the Krell had subjugated or threatened, began to rebel. The Dominion's iron grip weakened. Their empire fractured. The choice. The Krell High Council, the ancient rulers who'd commanded the genocide of 1,000 worlds, finally understood what they were facing. They reached out to Earth with an offer: peace. Reparations. Territory. They would give humanity anything if we would stop. The survivors gathered in the bunkers, now cities carved into Earth's crust, and voted. It took 3 days. Arguments raged. Some wanted complete annihilation of the Krell. Others wanted justice, trials, accountability. Others simply wanted to rebuild and be left alone. In the end, humanity chose something the Krell had never understood. We chose mercy. But mercy isn't the same as forgiveness. Closing, 1430 to 1500 hours. Epilogue. The Treaty of New Geneva established a 50 light-year exclusion zone around Earth. The Krell were forbidden to enter Sol system for 10,000 years. In exchange, humanity agreed to cease offensive operations. But we kept building. We kept improving. We spread to the stars, reclaiming worlds the Krell had sterilized, bringing life back to dead planets. The Earth itself slowly healed. Atmosphere processors ran for decades. Terraforming engines reversed the damage. Within 2 centuries, trees grew again. Rain fell. The oceans, though smaller, returned. Today, 300 years after the fall, Earth is home to 2 billion people. The bunker cities remain, now museums and monuments. Children play in parks built over the ruins of the old world. And in orbit, the Ghost Fleet remains. Not as weapons, but as guardians. A reminder. The Krell thought they had exterminated us. They thought we were weak, primitive.